that everyone will be proactive himself will never work. That's only summit of the problem.
Yes, I think you can look at things in two broad ways, really. One is the sort of international or the world as a whole thing, where you're probably right, you need economic incentives, because if I take a plane from London to Spain, I'm probably not going to think, I'm probably thinking, well, that doesn't affect my house in Somerset, in the southwest of England where I live. So, I suppose the basics of economic models and incentives would say that I have no incentive not to take my holiday unless you put a big tax on it. On a more local level, there are schemes, for example, like the development of green spaces in people's neighbourhoods where people can directly see the benefits that are accruing. For example, in the area where I live, the local authority has given schools budgets to develop green spaces, to turn what they call old brownfield sites, in other words, areas where there had been industry, to turn those into nice park areas with the school kids getting involved, with the parents getting involved, with the communities getting involved, and then people are directly seeing the benefit of them on that level. But I think there's almost certainly going to have to be an ongoing role for legislation in this area, particularly for international stuff.
Yeah, loads.
Man ir piebilstams vēl, jā.
The problem is that he cannot follow. Can you do it?
Jā,
We ask one of the interpreters. If you want, you feel comfortable in acting.
okay, es latviski labi.
Jūs varat aiziet pašu steigt.
Par...
Okay, cool, thank you.
Jā, Ants jautāja par...
So, you mentioned about positive thinking, about whether we can change something. What I have encountered is certain surveys regarding the brain waves, and it also involves physics and quantum physics. And what I have found very interesting is that in the regions, different research activities have been carried out in conjunction with the military activity, and there were certain soldiers who have undergone sort of positive thinking therapy, if I may say so, and this particular region where the people underwent this positive thinking therapy, actually the military activity went down and the violence went down. So the same probably goes with the environment. If in a certain area there is a certain number of people who think green, they unconsciously influence also those who are around them. So these issues can be measured sometimes. Do you have anything to add?
A positive example. I think the same, again, with initiatives we take. If we see people taking initiatives and they're acting in a very positive way and believing they can make a difference, that is infectious on other people. I mean, there's a lot of research in positive psychology that suggests that the company we keep, the people we mix with, and their attitudes and behaviours do affect us. And if we're mixing with positive people, people who believe changes can be made, then that helps. And that's the case. I know it to be the case in the case of health. There's a very strong correlation between people's health and the health of their friends, for example, particularly when it comes to habits like drinking and smoking. And I would imagine the same would be true of the environment.
Okay, this we will have an opportunity to check, because there will be in a few moments, actually, there will be a bunch of Latvian, going to be MEPs quite soon. They are invited to this conference, and you heard the way how they will come here, and we will, ask them, try to ask positive questions and get the positive responses and see how it works. If our good and positive thinking would influence them, and then they would influence, whole society, and then wow. Oh yes, please.
I had a question to Petrus, actually. Do you think that or the people who have gathered here would be in some way similar in how their brain work? But the brain that thinks green.
You want to belong to the best part of society. You want to double check if you are. So.
Es domāju, ka, ja mēs veiktu tādus
I believe that if we scanned our brains, I'm sure we would find very many similar things in our brains. Yes, it seems like we are smart enough. And I also have a question to Pēteris. You mentioned the potential of the brain activity and how it can be optimized and how the environment plays a role in it. So what would be the optimum environment so that he or she can reach this higher state of brain activity, and what should be changed? In other words, if my room is not put tidy and clean, probably also my brain is not very tidy and clean. And actually, to answer this question, if we talk about brain activity, probably we should go to India, where there is nothing. Simply go climb some high mountains or Himalayas. And but when we talk about our daily work, our daily routines we are facing, what we can do is we can start with ourselves, and simply we should stop for a while to meditate for at least a tiny moment, because of course in the ideal world there might be such an environment that is optimum for our brain work. However, as our brain approaches this higher state, an individual is already enabled to take better decisions than previously, and even if we cannot change the environment, we can change our attitude towards what's happening around us. I believe that we will change our attitudes today. And yes, okay, let's have the last question. My question is also addressed to Pēteris. So what is actually the potential for our brain? Because in Russia, I have seen a video clip in YouTube where teachers are training children to have some paranormal abilities. So, can we train our brain to enable us to even acquire some paranormal abilities? If we talk about the children and their development, we can start the training or development already while the child is in the womb. However, we should also talk about different zones or parts of the brain that we should develop in order to succeed. Some say that we should dedicate 10,000 hours or 5 years for something in order to succeed. Either we are talking about sports activities or music, etc. Plus, of course, the 3 months before the birth. So, if your mother, while pregnant, sorts her waist, then after you are born, you will also follow her in her steps. All right. So, thank you, both speakers. Thank you very much. And now we'll talk about, in a way, about the hot potato.
Kind of search for a positive mood during our political debate that will be later on. Tagad ķersimies klāt ļoti karstam
Now we will deal with the hot potato. Juris Greenwalds representing Sia Sakret, one of the largest building material producers.